All right, guys. This is Music Universal Language Podcast. This is the 12th episode, and got an awesome guest today. Does his own thing, and he was also one of the co-founders of Mofro. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Daryl Hance. What's up, man?
Hey, all right. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for being on, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. This is this will be the first podcast I've done. So.
It seems like it's kind of becoming a trend. There's not a whole lot of musicians who do it, but I actually got into them because a lot of comedians do it. So,
yeah, that I took a stab at it like a couple years back. Then I kind of set it on the back burner because it's not as easy just to jump up there. Then I started doing a little bit more with it, like this past fall. Then did about 5 or 6 episodes, but I was the only one casting. I was just kind of like doing some pilots just to kind of get the feel of it. But
right
I shelved it. I shelved it pretty quick because it's just too involved.
Were you doing the video thing too, or just kind of audio?
Yeah, video. Just shot a few, and it was more me rambling about stuff than anything. But I was trying to find a starting point. I didn't get to the point of bringing in guests. I just thought, okay, this is going to be more involved than.
I see what you're saying.
Either got only so many hours in a day, I guess. Maybe I'll probably pick it back up later on down the line somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, besides like the editing process is like so time consuming, besides actually the recording of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
2-3 times as long just to go through all that. But right on, man. If you want to go back to as far as back when you started music, or maybe your first band, or you've been playing music pretty much since you were a kid, or?
Actually, yeah, pretty much. The first thing I stumbled across was drums. I had a friend had a drum set, and I got hooked. And then I got a drum set when I was, 11, somewhere around 1979 or 80. I think it was 1980, so I think I was 11. Fixing to go to 12 or something, but I had that for about actually my dad had traded a buddy of his a shotgun for the drum set, and for my birthday, and then I banged on it for about a year and a half. Then I come home from school one day and it was gone, and my dad he had traded back the drum set for his gun. Apparently they didn't like the practicing sessions too much, but I eventually got to then in 1986, during my last year of high school, I took my tax return check and bought a Squier Stratocaster.
Nice.
And then by the end of that year, I had started a band with some friends. Actually, we kind of all started together. I could play a little. And another friend of mine, he could play a little bit, and then the other 2 guys, they were pretty accomplished, and one guy could write songs, and so we played on and off for about 3 years. And
you guys like high school friends, or just kind of local?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. We all went to the same high school. There was a little distance between us in years there, but we actually ended up at a mutual friend's house, and then just come together like that. It's actually kind of funny now thinking about it years later. Just kind of came together.
It naturally just happens like that, especially you're all kind of in the same music. Or what kind of music were you guys into, like influences?
At the time I was into like I just gotten into Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith, and those guys were into the Clash and more of the punk rock stuff.
Cool.
And their drummer was into like more of the metal stuff. No, he wasn't a metal drummer, but he was into that kind of stuff for Guns N' Roses and stuff like that, which I don't care anything about Guns N' Roses, but we just got together, made some music, and
so you start on the power chords, punk rock style, or?
No, well, yeah, just chords. I don't think I was too much into power chords then, but just, picking chord. We were kind of like a cross between sound like a early, if you take like early U2 and like the Dead Kennedys or something like that and roll it together, it was kind of something somewhere along in that vein.
Dude, that's cool. I like the Dead Kennedys. for sure.
Yeah, kind of a post-punk Southern band or some shit like that. I'm not sure.
That's cool.
But
So did you ever? What you say?
I was going to ask. I was going to ask you about language. You try to keep this PG or just say what you want?
No. That's kind of the freedom of it. We can say whatever the fuck we want.
Okay,
and I can, if you want to edit anything out, I can show you before.
Okay.
Yada.
So I can say ass and shit, fuck, and all that stuff. Okay.
Talk how you normally talk, man.
Okay. Just trying to. Well, I naturally cuss anyway, so just trying to make sure.
Right.
Yeah. We did. I did that for about we did it on and off for about 2 or 3 years. That was mostly in the practice room. We played a handful of gigs, right. And then I started dabbling into writing my own music and come up with songs of my own. And then the tape from that band, JJ, he heard it through a mutual friend of ours, and he needed a guitar player, so he called me in February of 1990. Well, 30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years ago. Wow.
Oh, shit.
And then we kind of hit it off, started playing together, then played together, had a couple bands together before Mofro, then started Mofro in 98, and then about the same time I was starting to get serious about writing my own songs and and all. I'd always wrote music, had tons of musical ideas, but I started getting more into the lyrical end of it and figured out, hey, I can sing too. So when I would tour with him over the years, I was kind of working on my stuff, ready to, kind of set myself up to jump off the boat at some point. And then in 2010, I jumped off the boat and started doing it on my own and doing my thing. And I've been doing that since, 2010, summer of 2010. I started in 09, but by the time summer 2010 rolled around is when I started, left that band and started doing my own thing. And I've been doing it since. Not quite the hectic road touring schedule, but I've kind of, that's kind of intentional.
And it's your thing too, more like you said, it's your songs and what have you.
Yeah. So, it's been kind of bouncing around since then, putting out records, got 3 studio records done, just did a live in the living room record, which you were just talking about earlier. And then I got a fourth studio album that's close to in the bucket. And, hopefully that'll be out sometime later this year. And then I got a couple more albums on the back burner.
Oh yeah. So you're kind of like stocking up on songs while JJ was kind of the main songwriter. Yeah. You co-wrote a lot of stuff in the beginning, right? Some of it,
the first 2 albums, there was we collaborated a lot when we were younger. And then on the first 2 albums, I contributed music on those 2 albums. And then after that, he was really into he was always wanting a band with like horns and big band stuff like that. It's the soul band sound. Otis Redding, people out there, he has heroes. I come from more like Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix, and like a 4-piece band with guitars or Pink Floyd or something like that.
Totally.
So
wait, so you're originally from Jacksonville, or and you guys? Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm from Jacksonville.
And you guys didn't know each other prior. It was just kind of like bands, heard of bands sort of thing, you and JJ, or?
Oh, and what do you mean now? Exactly.
Like you said, he heard your tape, but you didn't really know him beforehand.
Oh, yeah. We had sorry, I didn't include that part. We worked at an air conditioning company together in 1986.
Oh, right.
And that's right after I just got out of high school and got a job at air conditioning company here on the west side of Jacksonville. And he worked there. And that's where we met. We went to high school. We didn't know each other in high school. We had mutual friends, but so I worked over there for, a few months, got to know each other. Then we ran into each other on and off over the next 2 or 3 years. And then along that time, he had heard that tape I was talking about.
Okay.
And then he was trying to find a guitar player for the project they were on and give me a call at that point in 1990. So that's where that gap was there.
So like 90 to 98, you guys are kind of like jamming in different bands, maybe multiple bands, and doing
Yeah,
the local regional scene sort of thing. And
yeah, a couple different bands,
any
and then
awesome ones or any
what's
highlight
that?
bands? Any bands you like really loved in that period or that you're in?
Uh, I don't know. Just kind of just trying to find where find what fit,
Holding the
find
sound
your
and kind of
path. Yeah.
right on. And so by 98, that's when officially, after jamming all these years, you kind of
Yeah.
turn into the Mofro sound, which is like the swampy, soulful
Yeah,
thing.
that's kind of where we're headed. But back in those days in this part of the country, anyway, there wasn't a whole lot of musicians, that were playing that kind of music, like soul, blues, and funk influence rock and roll. That was during all the years of the alternative era, and after that,
Yeah.
Plus, there just wasn't back in those days. It was a really isolated, music scene here. Now Jacksonville, since then, in the past 20 years, there's so many people here playing today, and different, people that can play that type of music and are into it. It's not that hard to find, people as it was back then. But we just kind of come together, by default, really.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of got into like you, Papa Molly, and like North Mississippi All Stars all around the same time. It was like the swampy. You guys are all at like the right moment or something, like early 2000s.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The sound was like getting revived or something. But what's there was like something like you guys went to London or something. You went to Europe as Mofro.
Yeah, like in 98 to 99.
What's is that an interesting story or?
I just went over there a year ago. Actually, we kind of got so I guess you could call it disillusioned with over here a little bit, and kind of went over there just to try something different for a while.
Right.
And end up staying there for a year and then coming back.
And so this is like kind of before any albums came out. You guys are just kind of still getting the sound going. Is there any like any rare recordings from back then?
There's a few probably laying around, but
yeah, because like what, Blackwater didn't come out till 02, 03, something.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was in 01. But
okay. Yeah, I remember just seeing you guys in like 05. It was it was like a free park in a free festival in Chicago. It's like an hour and a half from where I grew up. And I just fell in love with that swampy sound. And I feel like those first two albums, like you said, you kind of co-wrote on a handful of them.
Right.
What's that, 10,000 Islands? Is that one yours? Or?
Yeah, the music that
I love that jam, man. That's, just that sound, man, that swampy slide.
Yeah, and I actually use that same, it's the same kind of music for another song
right
I got. So, but
how long you been doing the slide guitar thing?
Since probably about 94 is when I kind of first picked it up. 93, something like that, and then and just kind of went from there. Just kind of drifted into it.
Right.
Just kept discovering the open tuning kind of helped more than anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like a whole nother world when you first get into that, like open tuning.
Yeah,
slide thing.
It is.
Did you any big influences? Like Allman Brothers or?
No, not really into the Allman Brothers. Never have been. I mean, I respect what they do and what they are and all that, but I just never grasped. I was more of a Skynyrd fan, or have become more of a Leonard Skynyrd fan. The original Leonard Skynyrd band,
right?
Not during the 70s
when they made the classic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really sure what they're doing now. I mean, outside of just carrying on,
I think there's like one original member
making a living, which that's great. Everybody's got to make a living somehow, but Yeah, that and uh, mostly the blues stuff. As far as slide players, I just like so much music. I really don't have too many people that I consider favorites outside of maybe like Sly Stone, Stevie Wonder, Jimi
Right.
Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, and
Oh yeah.
uh, the Stones. Probably another a few bands that I really listen to a lot, but most of it's I just like all kinds of stuff.
Cool. Keep it a
Um,
variety.
yeah, I've been listening to more jazz. Kind of getting a little bit more jazz lately. In the past couple years,
That's cool.
like some of that Miles Davis and um, I can't remember the names of, but Les McCann.
Oh, okay.
There's this other guy, Antonio Javi. He's I think he's from South America, or at least rooted there. I can't remember his name. I can't even pronounce it hardly. I'm bad with pronouncing stuff.
No worry. Well, it's like
Unless I've heard it a lot, over and over. And it
well,
sticks.
you probably just remember the tune more than the artist and what have you.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
recognize
a lot of times.
the musical pattern, what have you.
Yeah.
Right
Well,
on.
nowadays everything's in your player, so you just push, just like dialing phone numbers. You just push and push, so you don't nothing sinks in.
You could have it on shuffle, and you're listening to artists you haven't even heard of, but you like it.
Yeah,
and it's like, wow.
Yeah, exactly that too. I've discovered a lot of stuff like that too. I got a bunch of songs from a friend on a drive, and just put it, just like you say, just put it on shuffle and let it roll, and something catches your ear, and then wow, I never even knew this existed.
And it's like we're saturated with stuff. There's just so much stuff out there, and so many independent artists too. You know what I mean, like DIY.
Yeah, especially man, since I started touring, like back in the early 2000s, it's like I thought I had a fairly big understood how much music was out there to a degree, and then start moving around the country to different cities and getting introduced to different things, and you realize, man, there is so much music out there now with the interwebs. It's just it's mind-boggling, and more music just being added to every moment of every day. So it's crazy how much music is out there today.
Everywhere has like their own local regional scene, and they could just be like superstars of their area, but you don't know them until you go there, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like could be crazy talented, but not mainstream or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of weird too when you hear, especially when you're out there doing that, and then you hear these people who make these blanket statements about their, rock and roll's dead, or there's no great artists. And it's like, well, you're not really looking in the right. You're not going to hear it on the the radio or MTV or whatever they do nowadays.
And a lot of those times, those people, yeah, like you said, they're not really trying to look for it or listen, and a lot of times they want to hear something like familiar, like a cover band at the bar, sort of thing.
Exactly that,
because that's popular everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A good music scene usually implies that there's like good original artists, but cover bands are everywhere.
Yeah, it seems like, especially in the South, man, there's all these little cities that used to be just little one-horse towns. I mean, like Asheville, North Carolina is one of those towns. Like,
yeah,
I remember we played there in the early 90s, and there was one little original music club, or I guess there was only one there. I don't know. I'm assuming it was. And they would say the redneck dudes would just go by and throw bottles and Adam and stuff out there. And we played there, and it's like we got, and that was in 1991, I think. And then go back there 10 years later, it's like something completely different. So it's like all these people have, just moved in there and set up venues, and
it's
so
like
thriving scene. Now the same thing is like all over now. There's all kind of little pockets across the South, and other parts of the country too. Just sure the internet has a lot to do with that.
Well,
people discovering.
Yeah, exactly. Or just people being able to put themselves out there, so you can like be discovered by anyone in a sense. But there's like that big theater in Asheville now. What's it called? The Orange Peel?
The Ryman, in Asheville, yeah. There's the orange peel.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
That's been there for a while.
right on. Yeah, and
And then,
their downtown just blew up basically.
oh yeah, and there's other Western North Carolina's getting a lot, other little spots like that, and little spots in Georgia and like Charleston and Wilmington, North Carolina, just all these little places,
Yeah, so you kind of like experienced that firsthand. So you're kind of like more local, regional, '90s, and then by the time Mofro took off, you started doing like international. Like where all you been, man?
Yeah, I've been pretty much all over the lower 48 myself, touring like in the past 10 years.
Right on.
We did section of a couple of states. I haven't been to Europe yet or anywhere else. With that band, I went to Europe 2 or 3 times.
Cool.
And one time in Australia, and one time in Alaska. We played in Alaska one time. Didn't get to see anything though. We got off the plane, went straight to the venue. Well, actually, went straight to the hotels for a few minutes, straight to the venue, back to the hotel. Woke up at 4 or 5 a.m. and flew out.
Gosh.
And covered in fog. So the only thing we really saw was some fog and some snow.
Right. So that was Alaska. That hotel, right?
Yeah, exactly. In and out of there. And then, but I've been all over the lower 48 in the past 10 years. Last time I went out west was about 4 years ago.
Right on.
Long drive out there. And like you said earlier, I went up to New England last April.
Almost a year.
Hopefully be back out there pretty soon.
Yeah, man, come up when it's warm, not right now.
Yeah, well, that's kind of something I always had a show cancel in Franklin, North Carolina earlier this month because of snow. So finding out like in the Appalachians in February, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's like kind of nice here right now, but it was like -16 2 days ago. So
yeah, it's a bit nippy.
Yeah, man.
We was up there back in 2015, 5 years ago, and it was in the single digits, hovering around 0 for a few days.
Yeah, well, this time of year especially.
And that got kind of cold, so.
Like December through March, I would avoid this area.
I
used to go south when I would travel more, but
yeah.
No,
I think at time like April was about right. April and October's the window, or at least if you're coming from down here, I mean, up there y'all are a little bit more used, or a whole lot more used to driving in snow and ice. Snow ain't too bad. The ice.
Well, and they just the plows are kind of like on top of it quicker because they're like used to it, what have you. So
yeah,
but right on. So got any crazy stories from the road or?
Oh yeah, all kinds of those.
Too many to think of.
Yeah. There's some wacky stuff happens out there from time to time. A lot of used to be at like truck stops and rest areas and just like unusual encounters with people. Like the one of them, if you're ever frequent truck stops, is we used to still do stop there and get showers every once in a while, until they got a little bit crazy on their prices.
Wow.
Then kind of shift over to the campgrounds, or by that point you just as well get an Airbnb or something. But
right.
You go ahead and get the ticket for the shower at the truck stop, be walking around, and one of the trucker guys kind of start striking up some awkward conversation with you. Had a few of those, and it's kind of like, I'm just going to kind of move over here and, do my own thing. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, man, there's some crazy truckers out there for sure.
And then a couple things in the rest area too. Yeah. Nothing graphic or anything, just unusual occurrences.
You meet all sorts of folks on the road,
Yeah. And then all kind of, the opposite end of the, spectrum too, all kind of really cool people out there too.
Most definitely. People show a lot of love, especially to musicians, especially a good show can, make a lot of friends.
Oh yeah. Couldn't survive without it, man. Like, it's kind of difficult, it can be difficult, especially get some of those little stretches in between. Yeah. But I'm trying to think of something that's like really unique. But now you've put me on the spot for it, so I can't.
I should have briefed you, man.
Want to fly out there in a minute.
You got any like a highlight? What this is like the awesomest show I've ever played, or something? Like big or whatever, opening for someone or sharing a bill, or I don't know.
That one that we was talking about earlier, and at the hardware store there in Cabot last year was pretty good, just because it was totally unexpected.
Yeah, coming to a hardware store.
Yeah, it comes to a hardware store. All that wood in there, it just sounded great. Just felt great. There's, you didn't have to worry about the van getting stolen outside.
Oh yeah,
that sort of thing. Everybody was into it, and
it's literally a one-horse town, and that's the spot to go for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was a one-horse town, and I like it. And
That's
just like the hospitality there.
That's a super farmer town. Like, there's a lot of dairy comes out of there, and just farmers in general. So Cabot cheese, man.
Yeah,
that's where it comes from.
Didn't get to experience the cheese while we were there, but
oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. No one really show sticks out. There's just so many. They all, how they all after a few years they all kind of blend together.
Well, and memories come and go at times. And you're like, oh yeah,
yeah.
Should have thought of that. But right on. So you got 3 solo albums out right now, but there's one in the process you're talking about. And yeah, what's I really like the variety of your music videos, man. What's are you working with one guy, you said, to do that, or some of them your idea?
But most, there's 3 of them that I collaborated with him on, for To Hell and Back, Time, and With the Tide. Those 3, and the rest of them I do them all just cool. However, I don't really have any rhyme or reason for it, unless just something clicks. Probably like taking a picture. Something clicks, and I just start trying it and start rolling with it. And next thing I know, I got something. Actually, one of them years ago, I took a digital camera and taped it on top of a turntable and turned it on so it's spinning. And then I just
I think I've seen that one.
Kept catching it as the camera would come around, and
what's the song?
It's called Here Tonight. I heard a few people say it made them sick while watching it.
Makes you dizzy.
Nauseous. Yeah. But I use stuff like that just with an iPhone, just however I can make it without having to spend any money on it.
Yeah, for sure. DIY style, affordable.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's cool to you can come up with an idea on a spot like that and be like, oh yeah, I could do this, with the phone. It's like it's simple enough, I guess. Yeah, nowadays.
Yes, it's actually really awesome to be able to do that. Nowadays, with all the so much technology in a phone, you can shoot your own videos, book your own tours, do everything yourself. Especially nowadays when the music, the money coming from making music just keeps drying up, disappearing.
Yeah.
So
it's and that's almost like you gotta resort to gigs to really make a living. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with what you get from streaming, or people aren't really buying things like they used to, obviously. But
it's cool. I guess the double-edged sword is great in one way where you don't have to go through a middleman, know. But
it's like independent artists can do good without a label now.
Yeah, exactly.
But you might not. Well, depending on how much the label is taken, you might not make as much regardless. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I guess
either way,
it's
a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And there's doesn't seem like there's like one easy answer, because what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for the next person either.
Well, and that's a
So
lot of it's like finding, like you said, finding your path, or even just like finding your niche,
yeah,
your market, or what have you. Because with the will, there's a way. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So one way or
It's like
another.
the first thing I did when I started doing things on my own 10 years ago is kind of picked up in the what do you call it, the guerrilla touring style we used to do, which I still kind of do that, but you know, and trying to use the same tactics or similar tactics, because the only thing I knew how to do that we had used 10 years earlier or whatever, 10, 12
Right.
years earlier, and quickly found out, okay, this ain't working.
It's
like
not
it
the
did.
same anymore, right?
Yeah. And then,
Everything changes so quick.
yeah. And in case in point is like, I kept seeing these videos people, or, I had an iPhone 4S, from back in 2012 or whatever, all the way up through last year, and then still using it. And I kept seeing these people posting these videos. I was like, how in the hell are these people producing all these damn fancy videos and shit? How do they have the time and money to, Jesus Christ? And then I finally got a new iPhone, because I got an iPhone 7 because the apps on the other one stopped working. I was like, oh wait, it's got a movie app on here. I was like, well, shit, no damn wonder they can do all this. I felt like an idiot,
Well, and they say
there's
iPhones some of the best cameras, right? Too.
yeah, exactly. So it's a constant catch up with technology. It's so much time it takes just to keep up with it all. The downloads, the updates, this works, and then the endless list of passwords and usernames.
Right.
So I just kind of like, unless something's been out there for 2 or 3 or years, or I don't really try not to mess with it too much, because then it becomes just another black hole that's eating up a bunch of your time. That's not really, to a degree, I guess,
That's another thing as an independent artist. You almost have to like do extra stuff like outside of the music to like be appealing, and it's like, can't it just be about the music? You know what I mean? It's almost harder to put. You gotta like have a good video, or you gotta make a selfie post, or I don't know what the hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, stuff that kind of takes away from the art or whatever, the soul of the music.
I found myself having, which I'm sure everybody else is doing it like that, do it yourself or whatever, is like you find yourself getting sucked into the social media and all that stuff. Is like, wait a minute, I need to step back out of that and put my head back into the music, man, because I'm starting to get, this ball of information floating around in my head and images, and it's like, you got to shake it off and, okay, here's a guitar,
Yeah.
let's start there,
When it's obviously, yeah, it could be a social media like addiction and what have you, but yeah, it can influence you in kind of a negative way, especially if it's you're not focusing as much on the music, the thing that kind of you're trying to promote in the first place. You know what I mean?
Right.
It could be it could be a distraction, and that's honestly another reason why I started this, because I don't really like communicating with people like through a text message or a comment or a post, like at least like this, it almost feels like we're in the same room sort of thing, at least it's a video.
Yeah, it's too, man. It's just like one of the pilot podcast I did, I was talking about technology or the communications that you have, phone. It used to be just, you answer your phone and somebody knocks at the door, or if you were lucky enough or unfortunate enough to have an answer machine in your house, someone could leave a message. But outside of that, that was it. You just count on people to show up here and there or come out and knock your door. Now it's like you got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email, text, phone, instant messages. It's like you got like all these different lines of communication, and then if you got 657 close personal friends, that are texting you, or it can get kind of confusing. Or if you're someone who's, or if you're a musician who's starting to do well, you're communicating with people, and people, hey man, can you get me in this show, this show? And next thing you know, you look at your phone and there's 50 messages here,
Right.
So I mean,
hard to stay personable, or personal.
Yeah, it just kind of, and it's like now it's just like I wake up and you used to get excited. Oh, look at all the messages and stuff, So now it's like you're waking up. Oh, thank God, there's only one like junk email.
There's only a one red notification up there.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's just like, it's just become it's become this thing, the beast.
And I think it's just there's so much like miscommunication on it because like I said, you can't like hear the tone of someone's voice. Like body language is huge.
Yeah.
And so like if you don't know someone well, how can you even tell if they're saying something sarcastic? When they type something. So you piss someone off. You're like, no, I'm trying to be funny here.
Yeah, it's very easy to take like text, emails, and stuff out of context because, especially if you're doing it like a short message, and then you start getting involved to have to go back and explain, like Facebook posts. You get involved having to go back and explain yourself, to clarify no, that's not what I meant at all. This is what I meant. And then at the same time, you got 4 other people chiming in. Fuck you, you asshole, all this shit. And it's like, you racist, you're this, that, whoa, hold up. You done took this shit and turn it to something, and the people have gotten this habit, myself included sometimes, where you start dragging politics. You can be talking about the delicate intricacies and a dried up cat turd that's sitting on the sidewalk. And then,
right.
You make a post about that, and then somehow or another, someone will turn it political. And it's like, dude, man, we were talking about a fucking cat turd, man, and you've injected this political shit in there. Like it's just overwhelming. And it's like nowadays you can't get away from it. It's like back 20 or 30 years ago, the only time I ever heard from Ronald Reagan is when I walked through the room. And my dad was watching some shit on TV. Hey, what the president said? No, I have zero interest in what the president says. I just keep moving. Or you hear a lot of that. Now it's like 24, and with each subsequent president, it gets fucking more and more invasive in your personal life. Mm-hmm. And I guess the next president, they're just going to have a hologram likeness of him or her or whoever it is that follows you around and just fucking makes fucking, what do you call it, these grand statements about shit, and just follows you around and follows every human being around a likeness of the president. You just do it.
Influence the shit out of you all the time. Like
exactly.
Like, oh, okay. Follow the leader here.
You can't get away from it, man. And just like you just thought you were tired of the Clintons until the Bushes come along, and then the second wave of Bush come along. It's like, God damn, no. And then Obama. Then you gotta look at him every fucking day. Now Trump is fucking crammed down your goddamn throat every fucking day. And it's like the next one. That's why I said just the hologram likeness, or they're going they're going to force it into you somewhere or another. I'd love to go back like 20 or 30 years ago where you just cut it off. You don't have to hear about that shit at all. And it doesn't mean you don't care, but there's only so much, many days in an hour to care about every fucking thing that happens in the fucking world at every moment.
It's projected so much. It's just so consistent, constant, Yeah. It's insane.
Like, it's just like, I don't care. I'm reacting about this. I don't care about it. I don't care. Before you know it, you're just fucking like a dog checking its tail, which is exactly what, the powers that be want. They want everybody fucked up and arguing with, one another. It makes it more easy to manage and provide solutions for everybody,
Divide and conquer. When it's like, and it's like, that people are just like attracted to that argument. Like they want to be that person who shuts you down or whatever the hell. It's just like toxic. You know what I mean? And that's what I realized. It's like, you know what? I'm going to keep this like as least personal as possible and just fucking focus on the music thing, because I can't get wrapped up with, arguing with people and, I got different opinions. I got different tastes. Like, so what? We all do. We can hang out in the same room and nothing will happen. Exactly. But online, we're ready to kill each other.
Exactly. If you can't hear if somebody's point of views reduced to a few sentences of text. It's like, that's the lost art of conversations. You sit down and talk with people, and at the end of the day, you figure out, hey, you got more in common with most people than you don't. It's like, especially if you take politics out of the fucking way and talk about food or going to work or what you do for a living, or there's so much other stuff out there besides the world of politics, which I equate like, I'm sure most people do equate it with like pro wrestling, about the same thing, or like a soap opera. It's like,
it's one side or the other.
Yeah. And all that stuff, even if you take it all in, all the information, your brain is not, I don't think it's possible for anybody's brain to process all that, stream of chaos, man. It's just not, you're trying to make sense out of something. And if you're just watching this one stream over here, getting all your shit from there, it's like, well, there's 100 more streams of it. Are you just going to put all your eggs in this one basket? What's coming through this, data stream here?
Well, then it's like,
it gets ridiculous, man.
They say everyone has a lot of anxiety now. It's like, you wonder why. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so turn on whatever, and it's just like, you listen like Bill Hicks, you turn on the TV and it's like, oh my God, what world is that? And then you open up your window, expect to hear explosions, and there's crickets out there, Yeah,
exactly. So this is like, this is the story behind To Hell and Back, huh? The fucking hypnotized, started as a child.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Basically, it's just sitting there. Well, it's kind of growing up. I mean, when I grew up, during the late 70s and the 80s, man, just kind of, that's when TV when cable TV come about, and that morphed into satellite, where it is the thing of sitting on the couch with the TV changer come in and feeding your face, just turn your brains to fucking mush,
Right.
You just got to remove your, most people don't really know to remove themselves like that. Like, my parents, my dad's gone, but my mom, there's like, walk to the house, there's like Fox News going on 3 goddamn different fucking TVs, man. I just walk in there, I just start cutting them off. Hey, y'all, how you doing?
Yeah,
it's like, man, but if you don't know, you've been watching that shit for 40 or 50, 50 years, you just like a vacuum, man. You just get, oh, this is normal,
Right. Yeah, that's true, man. Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like, becoming aware of it is like, the first step of doing anything about it. But if you're unaware of it, you're just oblivious. You're just like, okay, well, this is life. And I guess it's almost like the social media things, the new age version of that, of the TV taking over.
Yeah, I think the whole world, you read this box and what it tells you about the world, and you think, you're coming of age, you're in your teens, 20s, especially this last the newest generation here, 22, 23, 24-year-olds think they know everything because they're watching this box. They've learned everything.
Right.
What are you talking about? You haven't even left the town you live in.
Right.
And you're trying to come across like no world experience. So that you haven't even traveled to 30 miles down the road. You're going to tell everybody what is in the world. It's just ridiculous. But it's gotten where the it is like that.
In a world, we have access to all this information, but we don't really like use it in smart ways.
Yeah.
Everyone can be like, well, I know stuff. I just look it up real quick.
Yeah.
But
But
what do you remember? You don't remember anything. So I don't know. It's crazy. I guess we're just getting up there or something. I don't know. I'm only 35, but I've kind of witnessed it exploded, from when I was a teenager. So. It was rare to have a cell phone when I was in high school, but some people did.
Yeah, I first got a cell phone in we were touring for 2 years, so went from 2001 and finally in 2003. The other band members got tired of me. Hey, can I borrow your phone for a minute? Which I would never hardly use it anyway, but never hardly. I don't know if that's a word, but
hardly ever.
Hardly ever. Yeah. But
both ways.
Yeah, I got hooked on in 2003. Then about 2007, I started texting, and then I got an iPhone, the first one in 2010. I started using an iPhone.
And that's pretty early, kind of. That's like smart. Not everyone had smartphones yet.
Yeah, but I wouldn't use none of the apps on it because I don't think the apps were that great back then. But I mean, now the apps, they work great. So,
yeah, it's really advanced.
Like this app here. You know?
Yeah, well, the cool thing about this, it like records both of us and records the audio, and it's crazy, man. Technology, and it's happened so quickly. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'll have to explore this Zoom a little bit more. This is pretty cool. I didn't, I always tend to do things the hard way. Try to figure out how I can do it in analog, and then try to get it into the digital world.
Right.
Man, sometimes that's harder than just, okay, I'm just going to use this app or this software, make it easier. But I like using tape and going to Pro Tools. As much as I like tape, at the end of the day, it's like, but I use Pro Tools like for recording me. I use it like tape anyway. I don't correct nothing. If I mess up, I'll just go back and play it again.
Right. Like, just take the best take sort of thing.
Yeah. It's just like the way I record my records. Well, the first record I recorded, my first album, Hallowed Ground, that came out in 2011, I did that with a 3-piece band. But the next one, JJ, by that point, he had built a studio at his house, so I started using his studio.
Oh, right.
And my second album, Land of Trembling Earth, I put out in 2014. I played all the instruments on it. Mostly just because, so I didn't have to call anybody else, and I could just kind of do it on the spot and get it done. And but that's the way I do it in Pro Tools. I'd use it kind of like tape, play a rhythm track on the guitar and sing, and do 3 takes of that, and then overlay instruments on it from there. And I did that for pretty much the past 3 albums. That one, the Wild Blue Hours album, and the one that I have in the bucket now. Exception being on the last 2, I've got more into using drummers because I just hate doing all that stuff. And so, the live album I just did, that was a full band live, and there wasn't. That was all. Actually, it was cut to a 4-track audio tape.
Yeah, you could tell. Yeah, that was a cool recording, man. You can tell it's kind of like on the spot, but that's similar to like a live show sort of thing.
Yeah, and I just threw it in a Pro Tools, and just to mix it and master it and everything. So,
right on.
But
and that had the Rob's Place. That had like alternate versions of stuff, or just a live version, and
live versions of
a couple new jams.
Couple new jams and one new song, and on the one version I covered a Bob Dylan song on there. Then
that's right. I heard that the Rainy Day.
Yeah, yep. I just did that on the YouTube version because I didn't want to have to get it cleared and all that. And,
I
didn't want to include it on a proper. Someday I'll put that on vinyl without that song on there. I don't want to have to go through the clearance and for one song.
Yeah, totally.
But
and so
I'm not sure if that I had a point to all that or not, but
you're describing your shit, so no, I like it, man. Your solo stuff kind of, especially the first 2, it's almost has like a more like sacred kind of sound. That's even like the Trembling Earth in itself is kind of, I don't know how to describe it, like a swampy, sacred thing. And then the newer one kind of rocking out more, the Iris.
Yeah.
Which I like that one.
There's a lot of experimentation, but just bluesy rock and roll. Just
definitely
loud or not loud as much as sonically dense. A lot low end, a lot.
Yeah.
And I like guitars to sound, big, like like how Jimmy Page or Jimi Hendrix or any of the guitar players that have like a big sound like that, big strong sound.
Well, you definitely have that little like a psychedelic thing going, and kind of Hendrixy what have you. So is the fourth album that's like already finished, just waiting to release, or like go back?
I gotta
more?
record. I gotta put a little bit more keys on it. Recut a little guitar and re-sing a few things, and that's pretty much about it. And then add a couple little stringy things, like a mellotron type thing.
Oh,
and then just make it's about 2 weeks work, and
right
then
on.
to mix it, which I don't know, 2 or 3 days to mix it.
And is
So,
this at your own home studio, or is this still at JJ's?
yeah, it's still the past 3 records I recorded over there.
Oh, cool. So he just like lets you do it at your leisure, and
yeah,
good.
Pretty much. It's about 5 miles away, but
oh no shit.
I'm actually got kind of getting a home studio going here. Not like a full big room studio. It's built. It's basically I'm using a room in my house and some part of the den. But
is the one over there kind of like home studio meets real studio, or is it?
Yeah. It's the quality of a studio, but it's in a room at the end of the trailer here in the hacienda. Cool. So I'm just modifying some walls and floors and ceilings and putting some stuff outside of the house for insulation and stuff like that. So, and I've already started recording here and get some good stuff, but I'm kind of recording in a small room at this end and I got to finish building the ceiling in this room down here before I can and run some power down there before I can actually fire that up and get kind of a little bit more serious with it.
Yeah, definitely need the power for all that shit, the gear.
Yeah, I gotta run a couple of circuits down there. So,
so what's the band is called Power Muse, or it's like Daryl Hance Power Muse?
Yeah, Daryl Hance Power Muse.
And it's like a 4-piece right now. Oh, sorry.
Right. Excuse me. I'm just like burping in your ear there.
That's all right.
It's kind of fluctuating from 2 to 4 pieces. I'm in the process of going from a local semi-regional, playing a couple of dates out of town, or about 1 weekend a month, trying to gear up toward traveling, doing 10-day and 2-week runs,
cool.
starting like later this year and into next year, a little bit more of a touring situation. So I'm trying to get a band that can do that right now. So
is it like trying to do like bass, drum, and the keys, or
yeah
guitar?
At the moment doing a key bass, like keyboard player, like with the organ and the whirly, and a little bit of left-handed bass. And I do when I play as 2-piece, I run through a Pog or an octave, and I have a lot of low end in it. And I've been playing like that for about 4 years as a 2-piece, with a couple different drummers, and then so now I'm kind of morphing from the 2-piece into the full band situation. We'll probably end up at about 4 or 5-piece.
Well, the Rob's Place is a 4-piece, right?
Yeah,
that's live. Yeah,
4-piece live, and
I saw like the picture as it was scrolling down. It's for all 4 of you guys.
Yeah, it was B. Gail on the drums, which she's been playing with me for about 4. We've been playing on and off for about 4 or 5 years, steady for about 3. And then had Rob Pittenger. He's a St. Augustine guy. He was on the bass. Had Brett McInerney. He's a Jacksonville. He's a Jacksonville guy out at the beach. He's actually from New York. He played the keys on it, and then I played the guitar and sang and pressed the record button.
And who's Rob? Just the place. He's at the house.
Yeah, that's Rob, bass player. That was his house.
Oh, the bass player.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that.
It was yeah. He was in recording his living room down there. So, okay. But now we're actually playing. Past couple of shows been like as a 3-piece. Actually, the past few shows have been as a 3-piece. So
with, no keyboard or no.
Keyboard and then a keyboard bass.
Oh right, that's saying okay. So he's doing the.
Yeah, it's kind of lately it's kind of been a rotating cast, pulling in some new people, trying out some people, getting some backup players in there. Just trying to work around, some people have day jobs, some people, are tied in with this band or they got their own thing. So, kind of figure it out as you go and float to gig. And hopefully over the next few months is, playing more out of town gigs, a lineup will come, a more solid lineup will come together out of that.
Right on. It's kind of making it work, feeling people out.
Yeah.
See how it goes. And
sometimes the past 4 or 5 years I've been pretty stationary. So past 4 years I've been pretty stationary. So
music's your main gig, right? That's pretty much
music and some side projects, building stuff and doing a lot of work on the house here. I made enough money between touring when I was playing with JJ and those guys between
like a
2000 about 2000 from about 2003 to 10. We did pretty good. So
that sounds about right.
So I was able to do some smart things or
squirrel away some money.
Not squirrel away some money, just make sure my place is paid for and
right.
And got it, funnel money to that and some gear and
so
to kind of set myself up for what I'm doing now,
Cool. So you kind of always had it in mind, and you were all the while you're stocking up songs and.
Yeah, exactly. I've got so many songs I don't know what to do with, and they keep just falling out of my head for some reason. And I've been told that's a good problem to have. So
yeah, I was gonna say it could be worse, man.
So, yeah.
So do you still jam with Mofro like in the local area or?
And not really. I mean,
I could have sworn I saw you like 2012, but I don't know. In like
I played
Ybor City.
I played some shows with those guys in 2011 and 10, 11, and 12.
I think it was New Year's 2011.
I did
2011.
Yeah, I did some tours then, and then I played opened to shows, a couple of shows regionally here and there over the past 3 or 4 years.
Right on.
But not usually any of those guys get home. They just got home, and they're usually I try not to bother anybody,
Right.
Just
you guys still all good.
Yeah.
Still all good friends, still close.
Oh yeah.
Still recording at his studio.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, we've been friends for 35 years, so we don't get caught up in the nonsense of
right.
Everybody always assumes, why don't you play together? Oh, y'all don't like it. It's like people just do different things,
yeah.
People have different interests, evolve different ways over the years,
Well, I saw something. It was one of your second albums. It was like him filming or something. And I was like, they got to be still friends,
Yeah,
like an interview or something, or.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I came over here to do to kind of interview me because I was just trying to get like at the time I was trying to get not quite a biography, bio thing there, but just kind of something a little bit more introspective than a one paragraph review of a record and whatever,
right.
Whatever rag or magazine or whatever, trying to get something. So I just kind of did that.
Yeah, it was like describing the album, right? Yeah, it was like.
Yeah, it was describing the album, the process, and some other stuff,
Cool.
Then at the time I was, recording everything myself, and then that gets old pretty quick. It's fun. It's cool if you can do it like for a demo, just to throw stuff down real quick, man. But it's just there's so much time involved, and I mean I can understand. You understand why like Trent Reznor has like 5 to 10 years between his records,
Oh, right.
A dude like that, so much time, man, because it's time consuming, and that's just playing, blues riffs and putting beats to them, man. That like that dude and people like that had this big old production like that, man. That's a lot. That's a lot of involvement.
Layers on layers of stuff.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to play producer, engineer, A&R
yeah.
guy, music, musician, everything at the same time. And the worst
Man,
thing is when you go in there with a new idea or a new song, and I like this song, I'll record it, and you played it to yourself twice, and then you open up a whole nother can of worms. Next thing you know, you're in then 3 days deep, and you don't even like the song no more.
it's like, damn, why did I write this?
Yeah,
That's kind of it's like the process you got to go to like figure that out sometimes, I suppose. But
yeah.
But,
Everything's a process.
well, yeah,
I think
that's I've always said like at a home studio too. It's just like if I had someone just to like literally push the record button because you get all these mics set up, you're ready to go, you're holding your guitar.
Yeah.
Like shit, I gotta walk across the room and push record.
Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, so it's a different world too from like just recording a quick demo or a demo for fun. Like you just got your new 4-track recorder, and you're not trying to get gigs. You're not trying to make a record. You're just recording for the fun of it, and it just goes in there effortlessly. But
Yeah.
which is what I try to do ideally, but you always kind of start being critical. Once you start listening to it over and over, start getting critical of it. And you can improve it and make it better and better, but it's just that fine line between, creating magic and turn it into this analytical, overanalyzed thing, It's just
Yeah, could kind of gut it. Takes the heart out of it if you do that too much, and it's. Yeah,
I definitely got caught up in that world, for a while, where it's just like, something. Everything I'm recording just sounds mechanical and stale. And it's like, well, it's because I'm going in there making sure every beat is dead on that line, and just like this. And man, a big eye opener for me was listening to one of the Who's, like John Entwistle's isolated tracks and Keith Moon's isolated tracks, and you listen to it together, it just sounds so awesome. And then you take the stuff away, it sounds like a little retarded kid is playing that stuff, and it's like, what the hell? And if you were in a studio and started to analyze, well, this bass is all over the map, man, you got to cut that again. Well, there goes the magic that made the Who special.
Oh yeah,
that thing.
The bass is crazy,
and
and the drum.
And that's the case with. I mean, so many bands, especially back then when they, had a vibe going. It was, they wasn't tracking everything separate. They were, maybe just do the rhythm track separate or what, something like that. But or like those early Van Halen records where they just went in and banged out the song in a day.
Right.
And it sounds awesome.
It's like in the moment, on the spot.
Yeah. And then maybe they overdub the vocals like on another day, but the music and the whole vibe was just them 4 guys playing together in that one room, or like, a lot of the Led Zeppelin stuff, or
the feelings
any other number bands, So
I think most of the 60s and 70s they did record it like the band live. It's almost like they had to, but it wasn't until bands like Floyd might have like tracked a little more, but I think the core of most songs was still like the 3 or 4 piece actually playing like they would play live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you just take the best take, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
just
but now it's like you could like cut out a section from this take and splice it with this take.
Yeah.
Like I like how I say this syllable. Let's take it out here.
Yeah.
It gets too crazy, man.
Yeah, I started doing that, man. Where you're going through and taking every syllable and just going through it. And I was like, something. All the time it's taken to do this, I'm just going to keep recording it until I just get it right. And now I don't. If most vocals I can do in one take, and it's not perfect, it's not anything, I just make sure it feels right,
Right.
Then just and just let it fly. Unless I just or do something, or do a putt or or some kind of lip flap. It gets okay. That sounds like I'm smacking or something. Then maybe not that, but.
Well, and again, it just comes back to like you're a live musician. It always sounds different, anyways, when you're jamming. at the show.
Yeah.
So the studio is just kind of like one version of it in a sense. You're just trying to grab one of the better versions, I guess.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's
and
always
then
different live.
Yeah, it's always, man. To record, man, it's like whatever. It's you always got to look at it. I mean, it's like is it in context? You know,
Right.
How's it fit in the big picture? You know, just like because it might be the best ever guitar sound, bass sound, drum sound ever. But if you might plug it all together, does it actually sound good together?
Yeah.
You know,
It's the accompanying. I can't say that word. Accompanying.
accompaniment or accompanying.
Accompaniment. Yeah.
Okay.
Accompanying.
Accompanying. Yeah. One of those.
Ing. Yes. No. Sorry. All right. Well, right on, man. Yeah. Where can people find you, man? Blast your social media nonsense. No, sorry.
Yeah. Daryl.
All the shit. Oh, sorry.
Okay, DarylHance.com is probably the best.
And that links to everything.
I got everything hubbed off there, all the social media. Everything's Daryl Hance or Daryl Hance Power Muse. Most of it's Daryl Hance because I was early on. I was just going to just go with Daryl Hance, but then inevitably, because I'm playing Southern flavored music, people just kept sticking band on me, calling it the Daryl Hance Band. It's like, well, there's already 10,000 bands called that play Southern flavored music that are called. You got the Marshall Tucker Band, the Allman Brothers Band, this band, that band. So I was just trying to just steer clear there and just keep it Daryl Hance, but people kept sticking the name on there. So I was like, I guess I'll have to come up with a name. So then Power Trio. Then the Power Trio became a duo. So then I was like, well, what sounds cool with power, but it's kind of music? And I was, Muse, and I just, bam, okay, that works. Stuck that on there. So Daryl Hance Power Muse, but most of it's DarylHance.com. DarylHance.com, Facebook, Daryl Hance, or Instagram, Twitter, whatever, YouTube. It's on all the Blue Iris records is on, and the other two are up on the streaming, the Spotify, the Pandora, and whatever else.
Right on.
Actually,
sorry.
And the other record too. Yeah, the Live at Rob's Place, but that's under Power Muse because it's a live recording.
Oh, is that that's on all the digital platforms too? I was just listening to it on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't know if it's made it to Pandora yet. I know it's on Spotify and some of the others. It seems like Pandora's a little bit slow, kind of getting it up there. I haven't really checked it, but it's up there. But everything kind of hubs off of the Daryl Hance .com website.
Cool, right on. Well, sweet, man. It was good having a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Background. Anything else you want to put out there for people to know about you? Or?
No, I don't. Yeah, I think we covered everything. Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
My name is Daryl Hance, and I play like Southern flavored rock and roll music. You know, it's like I've always called it like funky, bluesy, swampy, psychedelic rock and roll. Same rock and roll. In the tradition of the bands from the 60s and 70s, like Jimi Hendrix or Sly Stone or Skinner, Zeppelin, whoever. Same rock and roll music people have been playing for 50 or 60 years. You know?
Right, with your own twist on it, and you kind of
exactly
you bring the swamp with you, which is maybe relative to where you grew up, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, it's from what people play down here in this neck of the woods. You know, swampy rock and roll music.
You're like you said the sticks of Jacksonville. So you out there?
Yeah, I'm actually sitting about 30 miles due west of Jacksonville, and which is about 25 miles south of the Okefenokee Swamp in southwestern Georgia.
Okay.
I'm not too far from McClenny, Florida, which is right there where that little horseshoe dips down and the state line. Florida-Georgia state line, it dips down. Georgia dips down as far as a little horseshoe that dips down.
Oh, yeah,
Where the St. Mary's River. Well, I live a few miles south of that. So I'm about 50 miles inland.
You're not far from what is it, Valdosta, Georgia?
A couple hours from here.
That's a little more further west. Nah, I can't.
Yeah,
It's been a while since I've been
yeah,
down there.
yeah. It's a little further west, north and west from here,
Right
a
on.
couple hours. Um, but I'm pretty high up here. I'm on top of the ancient sand dune, so I'm
Oh.
about 180 feet above sea level. Whereas, like,
Oh.
you get into Jacksonville, you're 60,
Right.
50, 40, 30 feet above sea level. Then you get out to the beaches, you're a few feet above sea level.
Right.
So I'm pretty high up. We're actually on an ancient sand dune. It's called Trail Ridge in this neck of the woods, which runs from the eastern side of Okefenokee all the way down like 301 into down toward Ocala and Orlando. I don't know how far south it goes, but one of the higher spots around here.
Right on. Yeah, I guess for that area that is a little higher, but
yeah, it's
I'm in the mountains, so it's a little different.
Yeah. Pretty flat, like a pancake down here. Especially get south of Orlando, everything's flat.
Actually, both my brothers live in Fort Lauderdale, so yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
different area,
Yeah.
Like I said, man, I've been a fan a long time, man. Like, those first two albums, like, really kind of sent me in that swampy direction of, like, I want to fucking howl on the harmonica and play slide guitar. Like, literally, man. Like, it really shaped a lot of shit. So I was, I don't know, 20 years old at the time. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while back. It's all branched off the same. Man, it's just like North Mississippi All Stars, like you saying, Papa Molly and
yeah,
and that band, and there's other bands too.
Derek Trucks and
yeah, and it goes all the way back to Skinner and Allman Brothers, bands like that. It's all branches off the same shit,
Right, and they were super into the old blues players, so it's comes back around.
It's funny because it's like, to make a long story longer, and it's also part of history too. Is like I didn't really hear blues until first time I heard it was in 1988 or 9 when a friend of mine gave me this cassette. He recorded off a radio show in Gainesville, a blues show, and it had a couple people. I had Mance Lipscomb on there and Lacey Lester and a couple others.
Right on.
It's like, wow, this is killer. But then I really didn't get introduced to it until years later, like 10 years later. And then, in 2000, I was like, I thought, and then up until 2000, I always thought it was something that this happened back in the 30s and 40s in Mississippi and out there. I had no idea that there was people out there still doing it. And, I just thought it was, I hadn't been anywhere,
Keeping that traditional sound alive still. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we saw Paul Jones and T-Model Ford at Jackrabbit Club here in Jacksonville back in 2000. And my jaw just dropped. It was just like, there were probably 10 people there, 20 people there, maybe 30. I don't know, somewhere in there. Just watching these old blues players. And it's like, I thought I had my mind blown. I thought I stepped into a time machine. I thought all these guys were dead. There's people still doing it, And then that was just that. And then after that, discovered all these, Fat Possum Records. And then we started touring, discovered North Mississippi All Stars and all the blues history and find out, man, Louisiana and Mississippi and, up there in the Memphis, people are still, have been doing it all along,
Well, yeah, it's
and in
like
other parts of the country too,
It's like we said earlier. Like if you don't get out of your hometown, you don't know. You don't have you just know what you're introduced to. And
exactly. The only thing Jacksonville's has traditionally been one of the worst radio markets in the country as far as discovered, because they're still playing the same playlist they've been playing on the AOR station here since
classic
the 80s,
rock all day. Yeah.
Except now they got except now the 90s bands are classic rock too, and up through
Tom Petty and Nirvana are classic rock. Right?
Then I didn't know about up through the 2000s. That was the world, the classic rock station and nothing else until you start discovering other stuff. It's like, wow, never knew.
Yes, it's a whole nother world, man. And well, I guess you kind of have the realization, like all the classic rock stuff, where a lot of it, you're like, they were super into the blues, but you didn't realize it was like still going on. Because I always say it's like a bunch of white guys in the blues who like took psychedelics, and it's classic rock, or 60s rock, right? 60s, 70s. Yeah, because the blues is so much into that stuff, but it's not the same blues. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's funny because I listened to all the classic rock first, and then discovered blues.
Right, and then, it's like you already kind of knew it in a sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
then for a while I rejected, like, oh man, all those guys suck. Man, this blues is where it's at. I was like that for years, and then and then I started going back listening to older music that I listened to when I was younger, and listening to like Motley Crue. It's like, ooh, yeah, I don't really like that anymore. Then it's like then I'd lump the early Van Halen stuff into there, and then all of a sudden it's like, man, those first 5 Van Halen albums are great, man, and like that. And then started listening to Led Zeppelin, and then I discovered the Stones catalog beyond the hits, and then all the Beatles stuff I'd never listened to, and then went back and got now like past 3 or 4 years I've just been like a Zeppelin fanatic again. So I fell in love with all that music again. Well, some of the bands I kind of had to still pan, like some of that 80s stuff I didn't not really my bag anymore.
It's like nostalgia for a second, and then you're like, okay, I gotta.
Yeah, I put in the Rat Out of the Cellar albums. Like, that don't have quite the same thing it did when I was 16.
Yeah, as you can
imagine. Or the Dock and Tooth and Nail. Just I'm not going to be listening to that like on repeat.
Right.
We're not like a Pink Floyd record or one of the Led Zeppelin records, or
right.
It's not the same.
Well, a lot of those classic bands I really like. Again, like trying to find their rarities or just not as known songs, because the hits are just played so much on the radio and cover bands. And
that's why
jukebox
it's just like the song, for instance, like the song "Freebird," man. Just everybody just goes on how, man, I hate that song it's overplayed. But then I listen every time I hear that song, and then I've gone back and listened to the old live versions that they played back in the 70s, where it's just different every night. Mm-hmm. And when they hit that chorus, man, and that guitar, Gary Rosington, that slide guitar, Gary Rosington's playing behind Ronnie's vocal on that, and that chorus, man, it's just so massive, and just it's like, God dang, how could someone not just love it? I mean, it's one of the most powerful things I've ever seen live. I'm heard live. And it's like how someone could ever get – I mean, I understand how people get tired of the studio version from being played on the radio so much, but just that song is so fucking powerful, man. It's like, as a reason, it's one of the most requested songs ever on the radio back then.
Well, I think it still is at a lot of live shows.
Yeah,
get the hecklers. Freebird.
Oh yeah, man. It's just like so.
No, it's incredible
such a badass song, man. Like
that's like their peak. Yeah.
That first man, to me, that for all the stuff they did, that first album, the second one's good too, but that first album, man, where they come out of that house, that shack they were in Greenco, they were playing in Hell House. When they come out of that into the studio. That first time, man, that shit just, the magic was there, and it transferred in that second album. But then once they were touring and everything, and kind of got the shit slung out of them a little bit from touring,
right, things start to happen.
It still's great, but to me, I thought that, man, those first 2 records were just wonderful, man. And
they're like
the ones.
They're like super prepared to record them too. They've been playing them for like years. In that house, right? The Hell House.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Doesn't that the second one got Tuesday's Gone? That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That slide. Yeah.
That's awesome song.
Pretty similar to Freebird, but obviously a different song. Yeah.
Yeah.
In its own right.
Yeah.
But shit, man. We could probably talk about this shit forever. But
talk about music all day long and stuff like that. So.
Well, again, I appreciate you being on. And,
man. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Great having you on. And yeah, like I said, if you ever have any questions, any video stuff or whatever, let me know.
Cool, man.
Again, this is a good app to use. It's pretty sweet. It does a lot of things for you. As I guess, the robots are taking over, right?
yeah.
Automation.
Hey, it's working here, man.
Yeah, right.
We're just like
hanging
out in
out.
the sticks.
Right.
I'm on the low bandwidth here, so if it works here, it'd probably work anywhere.
Yeah, it didn't even freeze up, so that was cool. Right on. But all right, dude. Good talking to you. Good to meet you finally.
You too, man.
Peace, brother. Talk to you in the near future.
Okay,
have a good
later.
one. See ya.
Okay, you too.